I've got a 20 acre out in Bighorn County, Montana. This is a pretty straightforward land investment. My name is Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. I'm going to break down this property. I'm going to talk about things like access. I'm going to pull the property up on satellite imagery, show you what it looks like on Google Earth, talk about utilities and a lot of common questions that we get here. So sit back for a couple of minutes and I'll go through this property for you. Just kicking it off with a quick disclaimer. This isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on the property through my own due diligence and my experience in the industry. You as a buyer are going to have to ultimately do your own due diligence and make sure this is going to be the right fit for you. One of the big selling points out here, I mean, this is a pretty straightforward land investment. One of the big selling points out here is the lack of restrictions in Bighorn County. There is a heck of a lot you can do with your property. There's no zoning out here. A lot flies. Obviously, you're going to have to check with the county and make sure what you're looking to do fits. If you're going to put a septic system in, you're going to put a well in, I think you got to go through DEQ with the state and all that good stuff. But for the most part, there's not a lot of restrictions to what a guy can do with his property out here. To me, when I see a property like this, I think about a nice place to have a small homestead, maybe some horses, some cows, some livestock, chickens, things like that. You've got a nice little homestead. It also checks the box as a long-term land investment, like you're right off I-90 on the old Highway 87, pretty close to Billings, Montana, between Hardin, Montana and Billings. It's kind of a cool area. You got Custer National Forest and Bighorn National Forest down there. So kind of a cool area. You can zip over to Billings on 90 in like 30, 45 minutes, depending on how fast you go. Previous seller told me it took him 30 minutes. He must have had his foot on the gas, but in all honesty, it's 80, 85 on 90 right here. So you're zipping over to Billings pretty darn quick. But really a rural area, kind of a cool property. You could theoretically build on the property if you wanted to. You could go as simple as laying some gravel down. And if you're a truck driver, stay in the night. If you travel coast to coast, this is a cool spot to set up camp for a weekend when you're traveling through and consider a long-term land investment. So there's a lot of angles you can take this property. Maybe you could put some billboards up and make some money on that. Those are just ideas, right? And so, you as a buyer are going to have to, think about what you want to do with this property and just let us know if you have some questions there. But this is the access route. You can come right in off the road. I'll talk a little bit more about that here on satellite imagery. So power is going to be right there too. That's kind of an added benefit of this property, but here's your access route into the property right here. I think the previous owner did use it to run some livestock on the property. So just an FYI, if you see some old infrastructure that was from the previous owner, should be mostly vacant if anything. It looks like there's a fence that might run along this property line right here. And then, the property boundary runs along old Highway 87, and you can even drop down on Google Street Views and take a peek at what it looks like out here too from Google Street Views. You can see that like that. Just like that. So pretty cool location, easy access. Your entry is already there. You can drive onto the property tomorrow with a camper and start using it, So it's that type of tangible land investment, offer something to start using today. When we talk about utilities out here, again, just touching on utilities. So power lines are going to be right in the vicinity. I forget exactly where they are. I could play around on here a little bit and look, but pretty sure power lines are going to be, right in the vicinity here to hook into. So that shouldn't be an issue having power lines out here. Most people in Bighorn County are using cisterns, which is like delivery water. There's a guy in Hardin that delivers most of water. So a lot of people do a local water delivery service. They have big cisterns, they have delivery water. When it comes to a septic system, just get with the state. Any restrictions or regulations they have, environmental regulations, basically with DEQ, just get with them on a septic system. But you don't have to build on this property. It's something that could be used for a camper. You could put a storage container out here. It could be your landing point halfway through Montana. Like I said, if you're a coast to coast person, or even a long-term land investment, something to play around on. So that's about all I have to share on this listing. If you're interested in going to look at the property, my favorite app is Onyx Maps. All you have to do is plug the GPS coordinates in on Onyx Maps from our website. And you can see the property is going to be really easy to access. You can see it's outlined. I have the private land ownership going, that layer going for Onyx Maps here. And it outlines where the property is. You can kind of see tire tracks going all around the property from the previous owner. The northern end borders the Highway 87. The driveway is kind of right in the middle of it almost. The length of the property this way is going to be about 600 yards. And if we go the width this way to this way, it's going to be 182 yards. You can also look for natural features in the landscape. I mean, this kind of centers your property. It's about 246 and 343, to get from the driveway right there. So just keep that in mind. That's going to help with your land viewings, doing something like that. As always, we offer seller financing on a lot of these properties. We are open to cash offers. If you're interested in viewing the property, feel free to go take a look on your own time. I do have another 13-acre really close by, actually in the town of Hardin. That's a really nice property. It'll be on the website tomorrow. So when you're watching this video, I'm guessing you see that property on the website. So interested in other land deals, take a peek at the homepage. We've got a lot of stuff across Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, places like that, even out into Washington and Oregon. So take a peek at the website. Again, give us a call if you have questions. Our specialty, our goal here is to provide these unique and different land investments. So give us a call here at 605-299-5553 if this is something you're interested in. Thanks for tuning in.